Hi everybody, I'm Todd and welcome back to Ask DRTK. You know, there have been so many headphones that have been the studio standard over the years, it's hard to know which one to pick. And today I'm going to take a look at Sony's MDR 7506s. They've been around since the early 90s and they can definitely be considered a studio standard. So when I think of studio headphones, I think multi-application. So of course there's going to be recording or tracking with vocalists, musicians, podcasters, voice actors, and of course content creators. Then we go to the other side of the board where we have recording engineers, mix engineers, even mastering, and everybody wants something a little different out of their headphones. So versatility, audio quality is going to be an important thing here. Then we have durability, performance, and cost effectiveness. And that's the one thing you'll find that, you know, studios quite often go through many sets of headphones, and so price actually matters a lot more than we usually give it credit for. These 7506s are a very inexpensive headphone, but let's see if the audio measures up. Now, when we begin and look at the sine sweep comparison here on a logarithmic basis, we can see that there's an overemphasis in the mid frequencies, kind of between about 2 kilohertz up to around 8 or so. And that can be beneficial, you know, for mixing so that we can really hear what's in the mid. They always say the mix is in the mids. Well, that's the case with these headphones. It really will give you that. And of course, it'll emphasize that range, so clarity will be really good as well. You do see pretty sharp drop off above those frequencies, so above 10 kilohertz. And there's a bit of an underemphasis in the lower frequencies. But overall, I would call this a more mid-forward headphone. Let's take a look at the linear analysis for a little bit more resolution in the upper frequencies. And looking at the linear analysis, we can definitely see that boost in the mid-frequencies again. These are well known as being mid-forward. I've used them for many years, had many sets of them, and I can tell you that they really bring out those tones, those mid-frequencies. Again, if you want to hear what's wrong in a mix, these will help you do that. For listening back as far as monitoring is concerned, again, in the vocal range, they really boost those frequencies, but sometimes they can give you a sort of an overemphasized sibilance and maybe sound a little nasally. A lot of people don't like them for that reason. Now, when it comes to music, we have many frequencies happening all at the same time. And so when we look at the logarithmic comparison here, we can still see that boost in those mid frequencies. And there's no doubt about it, these headphones really push the mids out, which again can help you identify problems in your mix, but isn't necessarily great in terms of balancing. Like anything, you learn your headphones, you know that these are going to sound overly bright compared to a lot of others. But in any case, you see that boost in the mid frequencies. Roll-off in the upper is not quite as present. It's not as visible, at least, as it is across the individual frequencies in a sine sweep. And bass is a little bit underemphasized. Not terrible. I mean, these are studio headphones, so we don't expect to have, you know, an overemphasized or hyped bass. It's pretty much where you need it, maybe a little bit lower than a natural or an even reproduction. And looking at the linear comparison for that extra resolution in the higher frequencies, here's where it becomes evident that there's a pretty sharp roll-off on these headphones above 10 kilohertz. And again, there's nothing surprising here. That's normal to be expected with these headphones. We have a little bit less on the low end, quite a bit less on the high end, with a lot of mid-forward sound here. So we're getting exactly what I would expect. And this is a sample of spoken word, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. And this is a sample of spoken word, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. So when we think about spoken word, we're thinking really about those clarity frequencies, you know, in the 1 to 5 or 6K range. And of course, these headphones really pump those frequencies out. We can see it here in the frequency analysis. We're getting a strong presence boost from the headphones. And I hear the clarity when I listen to things back, and I compare it to my studio monitors. I have a couple different sets, plus other headphones. So really forward, really clear. But again, for balance, you may find that these headphones are a little too bright or a little too sibilant on some voices for general listening. No surprises here. We see that real move forward or push forward in those mid frequencies with a roll off on the high and a little bit of loss or thinning out in the low frequencies. Again, nothing that's a problem for a studio headphone. I mean, that's why these are so widely used. There's really nothing that's a big problem here, but really mid forward. Now, by no means does Sony market these as a gaming headphone, but that said, a lot of us like to use our headphones across a variety of uses. So let's hear what the 7506s sound like with game audio. Now, as you can hear, they are very mid-forward. I wouldn't say they create a truly immersive environment. That said, that could help you out if you're trying to hear footsteps or any kind of subtle noises in a combat-type simulation game. So just something to keep in mind here. Wouldn't be my first choice for that use, but they could get the job done. So taking a look at the build quality of these headphones, at first look, you wouldn't say, gee, those are high-end studio headphones. They're inexpensive and they actually look it. There's not a whole lot of padding around the top, and I mean, they're really light, so you get away with that. All plastic construction. They do have metal strips, though, on either side for adjustment, so that's going to help, I mean, in terms of some durability there, locks everything in place. But you can see right away the cable that's loose around the outside here. These get snagged, they get torn, it's a pain point, they get repaired. That's just life with these headphones. Now, in terms of articulation, they do fold up, so if you wanted something really compact for travel, you could do that. It's certainly going to work for you. But they do kind of get a little bit gangly and moving around a lot, especially if you have them opened up wide. Now, they also have a fixed cable. It's not detachable. So again, if it breaks, you're going to need to get it repaired or repair it yourself. If you're handy with soldering, it's not going to be as easy as just plugging a new cable in. So something else to consider there. Overall, they're an inexpensive headphone, but they've stood the test of time. Been used for, great lengths in studios. People have them for years, including myself. So I have to say they do tend to hold up, albeit with a few minor repairs along the way. Overall, a basic set of studio headphones that's going to get the job done. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on features and specs. There'll be links in the description below. But the one thing I want to draw your attention to is the sensitivity. 106 milliwatts and 63 ohm impedance. These are easy to drive. No issues whether you got a phone, tablet, computer, audio interface. You're not going to need a special DAC or anything for these. Easy to use, so they can be practical for a lot of applications, even though, again, they are a de facto standard studio headphone, if you will. Now that we've gone through a number of tests, let me give you my final thoughts. It's not surprising the 7506s have become so popular and been a studio standard for so long. They're a very affordable headphone. They've proven themselves to be durable over time, despite some of the shortcomings that I mentioned earlier. Now, I don't find them particularly comfortable in terms of the heat. They're very warm. I don't have an issue with my glasses that a lot of people do complain about. I don't find that to be such a problem. But they're very warm, but they're lightweight. So again, there's kind of two sides to it. Then when we talk about the audio quality, audio performance, they are definitely a mid-forward headphone. They're not balanced. Now, that's going to be good in that if you're a vocalist, voice actor, you're going to hear yourself very clearly. It's really going to come through. The downside to that is that, again, it's not a particularly representative sound of what you would get in a balanced mix. And so, like anything, if you use these for mixing, you need to learn your headphones. Once you learn your headphones, you can absolutely get balanced mixes out of them, but it's not like you're starting with a very neutral profile. So you just have to be aware of that with these headphones. Again, there's a reason they're very popular. I mean, it's not by accident they've been around so long. But there are some considerations you need to have here. Now, if you're looking for other ways to level up your audio, check out one of these videos on the screen. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.